The skies darkened over Earth as massive ships appeared in orbit. It was the year 2112, and humanity was about to meet its first alien visitors. These visitors called themselves the Tellurans. June stood on the roof of his apartment building in Seoul, watching the strange lights in the sky with thousands of others. He had been a physics teacher before all this began. Now he wondered if anything would ever be the same. "Do you think they're friendly?" asked his neighbor. June didn't answer. The strange feeling in his stomach told him something wasn't right. The world leaders gathered to meet with the Telluran representatives. Their leader, a tall blue-skinned creature called High Commander Vex, spoke perfect English through a translation device. "We come to share knowledge and resources," Vex announced in the global broadcast. People celebrated in the streets. Humanity was not alone in the universe. For 3 weeks, things seemed peaceful. The Tellurans shared small pieces of technology. They helped cure several diseases. They promised to help solve Earth's climate problems. June watched the news reports with growing unease. "They're giving us too little," he told Min one evening. "And they're asking too many questions about our mines, our factories, our resources." On the 30th day after first contact, everything changed. The Telluran ships positioned themselves over major cities. New smaller craft appeared. These were clearly weapons platforms. "People of Earth," High Commander Vex's voice boomed across all communication channels. "Your planet is now under Telluran control. Your resources belong to our empire. Your people will work to extract them. Resistance will result in punishment." World governments tried to fight back. Military bases launched missiles at the alien ships. Fighter jets scrambled to attack. None made it close. The Tellurans' energy shield stopped everything, and their weapons turned military bases to ash in seconds. Within days, most governments surrendered. The Tellurans set up processing centers in major cities. They divided humans into work groups. Some would mine resources, others would farm food. Some would work in the new factories building Telluran technology. June was assigned to a mining operation outside the city. His knowledge of physics made him useful for analyzing mineral samples. His friend Min was sent to a different work camp. "Stay alive," Min told him before they were separated. "This isn't over." Life under Telluran rule was harsh. Humans worked 12-hour shifts. Food was basic but enough to keep workers healthy. Anyone who resisted disappeared. The aliens watched everything through floating orbs that patrolled the work camps and cities. June noticed something about the Tellurans as weeks turned to months. They underestimated humans. They thought of people as simple workers like ants or bees. They didn't hide their technology or their plans because they didn't think humans could understand them. But June understood. He watched how their devices worked. He listened when they spoke among themselves, thinking humans couldn't comprehend their language. Each night in his small sleeping pod, he wrote down what he learned, hiding the notes beneath his thin mattress. 1 year into the occupation, June was transferred to a processing center in the city. There he met Sue, a former computer programmer who now sorted minerals for the aliens. "They think we're stupid," June whispered to her during a meal break. "They think we're broken," Sue replied. "But they don't understand what humans are like." When pushed too far, that night June showed Sue his notes. She smiled for the first time since he'd met her. "I've been watching them too," she said. "Their communication system has patterns. I think I can break into it." 3 years passed. The Tellurans built more facilities. They stripped forests and mountains for resources. They treated humans like tools, nothing more. In his 5th year of captivity, June was moved to a special research facility. The Tellurans had noticed his intelligence and wanted him to help analyze Earth minerals. There he met other bright humans gathered from around the world. "We're not just surviving anymore," whispered Ana, a scientist from Brazil, during a secret meeting in the facility's blind spot, the one place cameras couldn't see. "We're planning." June learned that small resistance groups had formed worldwide. Using stolen Telluran technology, they communicated in secret. They studied alien weaknesses. They prepared. "Humans have one advantage," said Tay, a former military officer. "When threatened, we don't stay divided. For the first time in history, there are no nations fighting each other. There is only humanity against them." June looked at the faces. Around him, People from countries that once pointed nuclear weapons at each other now working together. The Tellurans made a mistake, he said. They united us, and they have no idea what's coming. 5 years had passed since the Tellurans took control of Earth. Humans worked in mines, factories, and farms across the planet. Most had lost hope of ever being free again. Jin worked in a laboratory near what was once Busan. Before the invasion, she had been a medical researcher. Now she analyzed soil samples for the Tellurans, looking for rare minerals they prized. But Jin had a secret. When her alien supervisors weren't watching, she collected small samples of Telluran tissue. The blue-skinned aliens occasionally left behind skin cells or hair-like fibers. Jin hid these in a false bottom of her workstation. At night, in the tiny apartment she was allowed to keep, Jin used a microscope she had built from stolen parts. She studied the alien biology, looking for any weakness. There must be something, she whispered to herself as she adjusted the lens. Every living thing has a vulnerability. Across the world, in what was once Canada, Sung led a small group of former soldiers. They hid in the forests, avoiding Telluran patrols and their floating scanner orbs. Sung had been a military commander before the invasion. Now he taught his people how to move silently, how to hide, how to survive. "We can't fight them directly," he told his group as they gathered around a small fire. "Their weapons are too powerful, but we can watch, we can learn, we can prepare." Sung's group wasn't the only one. Small resistance cells had formed around the world. They had no way to communicate with each other until Hana changed everything. Hana had worked in the Telluran Communication Center in former Tokyo. She noticed patterns in how the aliens sent messages to each other. Over months of careful observation, she learned to decode their signals. Then, using parts smuggled out by other workers, she built a device that could tap into their network. "It works," she told her small resistance cell. "We can send messages anywhere on Earth using their own system. They'll never detect it, because it looks like their normal communication traffic." Word spread slowly. Resistance leaders made contact with each other. They shared information, resources, and hope. Jin shared her research on Telluran biology. Sung shared his tactical knowledge. Hana connected them all. Then came the day that changed everything. At a mining facility in Siberia, workers collapsed from exhaustion. When one man tried to help his friend, a Telluran overseer struck him down. Others protested. The aliens responded with violence, killing over 300 humans in minutes. One worker had hidden a small recording device. The footage spread through Hana's network to resistance cells worldwide. For the first time, humans everywhere saw the same images, felt the same rage. "This can't continue," Sung said in a secure communication to other resistance leaders. "We need to coordinate our efforts, not as separate groups, but as one force." Representatives from every continent joined a secret virtual meeting. Former enemies sat side by side. They put aside old hatreds and focused on the common threat. "Today we are not Americans or Russians or Chinese," said Day, a former diplomat. "We are humans, one species fighting for survival." That night, the Global Resistance Council was born. Their message spread. One species, one fight, one future. Jin's research finally yielded results. "Their respiratory system is different from ours," she explained to the council. "They process oxygen differently. I've found a compound that disrupts their breathing without harming humans." "How do we produce enough of this compound?" asked Sung. "I need equipment, chemicals," Jin replied. "Things we don't have access to." Hana smiled. "I have an idea. The Tellurans are building a new research facility near me. If we can get a team inside, we could use their own equipment against them." The council approved the plan. Resistance members from across Asia gathered near the facility. Among them was Jun, a former engineer who had studied Telluran technology. "Their security systems follow predictable patterns," Jun explained as they prepared. "There's a 3-minute window when the sensors reset. That's our chance to enter." The mission was dangerous. 2 resistance fighters died, creating a distraction. But Jun, Hana, and 3 others made it inside. They worked through the night, using Telluran equipment to produce the compound Jin had discovered. "It's done," Jun said as dawn approached. "Enough to affect hundreds of them. As they prepared to leave, alarms sounded. Telluran guards approached from both directions. "Take the compound and go," Hana told Jun, pressing the containers into his hands. "I'll hold them off. I won't leave you," Jun protested. "This is bigger than any of us," Hana said, pushing him toward the exit. "One species, one fight, one future. Remember." Jun escaped with the precious compound. Hana was captured, but her sacrifice wasn't in vain. The Resistance now had a weapon. They had a network. Most importantly, they had unity. For the first time since the invasion, humans dared to hope again. The Tellurans still believed they faced scattered, disorganized resistance. They had no idea that a united human force was preparing to strike. The Telluran Command Center hummed, with activity as alien overseers monitored Earth's resource extraction operations. None of them noticed the young human worker who quietly replaced a circuit board in the main communication panel. His name was Hyun, and at 19 years old, he had spent a third of his life under alien rule. Hyun kept his eyes down as he finished the repair and backed away. The Tellurans barely glanced at him. To them, he was just another human tool, no more remarkable than the machines they used. This was their biggest mistake. "It's done," Hyun whispered into a small device hidden in his sleeve later that night. "They can't detect the new circuit. We can access their system whenever we want." Miles away, in an underground room beneath the ruins of a university, Jun received the message. 8 months had passed since the mission to create Jin's compound. Since then, the resistance had grown stronger and more organized. "Good work," Jun replied. "Return to base when you can do so safely." Jun turned to the others gathered around a table covered with maps and diagrams. Representatives from resistance cells across the continent attended in person or through secure communications. Jin sat nearby, mixing chemicals for more of her compound. "Yoon has given us access to their communication grid," Jun announced. "We now have eyes and ears inside every major Telluran facility in Asia. Our people in Europe and the Americas report similar successes," said Mina, a former intelligence officer. "The silent revolution is proceeding exactly as planned." The resistance had learned that direct confrontation with Telluran technology was suicide. Instead, they had adopted a different strategy: infiltrate, understand, and subvert. Humans placed in Telluran facilities as workers became spies and saboteurs. They moved slowly, carefully making sure the aliens never suspected a coordinated effort. Jin's compound was ready for deployment, but they needed more than a weapon. They needed to disable the orbital platforms that could destroy entire cities. This was where Hyun and others like him became essential. "The compound goes into their air filtration systems tomorrow," Jin explained, "but we need to strike all facilities simultaneously, or they'll adapt. And we need to take down their orbital defenses," added Jun. "Otherwise they'll simply blast us from space." Tae, who had once designed satellites before the invasion, pointed to a diagram. "Their platforms receive commands through a central relay station here, in the Himalayas. If we can gain control of it even briefly, we can send false commands to the platforms." "How do we get inside the most heavily guarded Telluran facility on Earth?" asked Mina. Jun smiled. "We don't need to get inside. Hyun's circuit gives us remote access. We just need to upload a specific sequence at exactly the right moment." The plan was set. Resistance cells worldwide prepared for coordinated action. The date was set for 3 weeks later, enough time to position everyone, but not so long that the Tellurans might discover their plans. As the day approached, small acts of sabotage increased. Factory outputs decreased due to equipment failures. Telluran vehicles developed mysterious problems. Communication between alien bases experienced atmospheric interference. High Commander Vex noticed these issues, but dismissed them as minor inconveniences. "These humans are clever with small tricks," he told his lieutenants, "but they lack the capacity for true coordination. Their nations fought each other for centuries. They cannot unite now." The night before the planned uprising, resistance members across the planet prepared. Jin distributed her compound to teams that would infiltrate Telluran air systems. Jun and Hyun finalized the code that would target the orbital platforms. Sung readied his fighters for the first direct assaults. In a rare global broadcast, the resistance leaders addressed their people. Tomorrow we take back our planet, said Day. Not as separate nations, but as one species. Remember, we strike silently first. The Tellurans will not understand what's happening until it's too late. The next morning, Hyun arrived at his workstation as usual. The Telluran overseer assigned him to routine maintenance of communication arrays. Perfect. At precisely noon, Hyun connected his hidden device to the main system and transmitted the prepared code. Across the planet, resistance members did their part. Jin's compound entered Telluran ventilation systems. Critical equipment failed simultaneously in dozens of facilities. In the main command center, High Commander Vex received alarming reports from all directions. Communication failures in the Americas sector, reported one lieutenant. Atmospheric regulation problems in all major bases, said another. Unexplained system crashes in the orbital defense network, added a third. For the first time, Vex felt something new, fear. He watched as his carefully controlled operation began to crumble. This is impossible, he muttered. How could they coordinate on this scale? The answer came as screens throughout the command center suddenly displayed the same message in multiple human languages. One species, one fight, one future. The silent revolution had begun, and the Tellurans never saw it coming. Chaos erupted inside the Telluran command center as warning alarms blared from every station. High Commander Vex moved swiftly between control panels, his blue skin turning a pale gray with stress. Report, he demanded. Respiratory distress reported in 73% of our bases, a lieutenant answered, struggling to breathe. Unknown compound detected in our air systems. Communications disrupted across all sectors, another added. We cannot contact our orbital platforms. Outside, the sun rose on a day unlike any in the 7 years of Telluran occupation. In cities, work camps, and mines across the planet, humans moved with purpose. The time for hiding was over. Sung led a team of 50 fighters toward the main Telluran base, outside the ruins of Beijing. For years they had trained in secret, using weapons crafted from stolen alien technology. Now they moved openly, joining thousands of other humans converging on the facility. Remember, protect the engineers, Sung called out. They need 10 minutes to access the command systems. Inside the base, Telluran guards collapsed as Jin's compound filled the air. Those still standing fired energy weapons at the approaching humans, but their shots were wild and uncoordinated. Many Tellurans simply fled, unprepared for direct resistance on this scale. Similar scenes played out worldwide. In former London, Paris, New York, and hundreds of other locations, humans rose up against their weakened oppressors. The careful planning of the resistance network allowed for synchronized attacks that prevented the aliens from concentrating their forces. At a former school now used as a resistance command center, Jun and Hyun monitored global communications. Their screens showed green lights appearing across a world map, indicating successful takeovers of Telluran facilities. Eastern Asia secure, reported Min, her voice crackling through the system. Minimal human casualties. Europe reporting 80% of targets secured, came another voice. Jun turned to Hyun. It's time for the next phase. Are you ready? Hyun nodded and began typing commands into his terminal. For months he had studied Telluran code, learning its patterns and weaknesses. Now he used that knowledge to send false commands to the orbital weapons platforms that had kept Earth hostage for 7 years. Sending shutdown sequence, he said, fingers flying across the keyboard. If this works, the platforms will enter maintenance mode and power down their weapons. High Commander Vex had retreated to his private command room as the main center fell to human fighters. He still had one advantage: direct control of the orbital platforms. Target all major human population centers, he ordered into his communication device. Maximum power. We will make them beg for mercy. He waited for confirmation, but none came. Instead, a young human face appeared on his screen. Your platforms aren't responding, Hyun said calmly. We've taken control of the relay station. Vex slammed his fist on the console. Impossible. Human technology is primitive. You couldn't possibly understand our systems. We had 7 years to learn, Hyun replied. 7 years of watching, studying, and planning. You thought we were just workers, but we were becoming something else, something united. Before Vex could respond, the door to his command room burst open. Sung entered, followed by a dozen fighters. "High Commander Vex," Sung said, "your forces are defeated. Your weapons are disabled. Earth is reclaiming its freedom today." Vex looked at the humans surrounding him. They were not the broken, fearful creatures he had conquered. These were warriors with determination in their eyes. "You don't understand what you're doing," Vex said. "The Telluran Empire spans hundreds of worlds. They will send more ships, more soldiers." "Perhaps," Sung acknowledged. "But now we know how to fight you, and we will never surrender again." Across Mao, the planet, Telluran forces were in full retreat. Those who could reach their ships fled toward orbit. Others surrendered to human forces. In the Central Asian command post, Jin monitored reports with Mina and other resistance leaders. "The Beijing facility is secure," Mina announced. "Sung has captured High Commander Vex." A cheer went up from the gathered humans. 7 years of oppression, of working under alien overseers, of watching their planet's resources stripped away, it was coming to an end. "We are not finished," Jin reminded them. "The main Telluran base in the Himalayas is still operational. That's where they control their interstellar communications. If they call for reinforcements—" "They already have," Tay interrupted, looking at a communications screen. "I've intercepted their distress signals. More Telluran ships are coming." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Their victory might be short-lived if the full might of the Telluran Empire arrived. "How long do we have?" asked Jin. "Based on their communications, about 4 months before reinforcements arrive," Tay replied. Jun stepped forward. "Then we have 4 months to prepare. 4 months to learn everything we can from their technology. 4 months to build our own defenses." Mina nodded. "And we need to take the Himalayan base. It's our only chance to control what messages leave Earth." The resistance leaders looked at each other, the weight of responsibility heavy on their shoulders. The first battle was won, but the war for Earth's freedom was just beginning. Outside, humans celebrated their first taste of freedom in 7 years, unaware of the greater challenge to come. Snow swirled around the massive Telluran fortress built into the side of Mount Everest. For 7 years, this had been the aliens' most secure facility on Earth. Now it was their last stronghold. 3 months had passed since the global uprising. Humans had reclaimed their cities and turned captured Telluran technology against its creators. But everyone knew the fight wasn't over. Alien reinforcements were coming. Sung stood on a ridge overlooking the fortress, lowering his binoculars. Beside him were fighters who would have once been enemies, Americans, Russians, Chinese, Europeans, now united against a common threat. "The main entrance is heavily guarded," he told the group. "But our scouts found a maintenance tunnel on the eastern side." John checked the device strapped to his wrist. "Our jamming technology is working. They can't detect us or send messages off-planet." The assault team consisted of the best fighters from around the world. Jin had come too, carrying a specialized version of her compound that would work in the fortress's sealed environment. "Remember," Sung addressed them, "High Commander Vex is inside. Capturing him is our priority. He has the codes to communicate with the incoming Telluran fleet." Under cover of darkness, they approached the fortress. Hyun remotely disabled the security systems for 45 seconds, just enough time for the team to slip into the maintenance tunnel. Inside the fortress, Tellurans rushed to prepare for the coming reinforcements. They had lost control of the planet, but expected that to be temporary. Soon their empire would send enough ships to crush all human resistance. High Commander Vex sat in the central command room, reviewing defense plans. A junior officer approached, nervously. "Commander, we've lost contact with the eastern perimeter," the officer reported. Vex looked up sharply. "Send a security team to investigate." But it was already too late. Sung's team had disabled the guards and was moving deeper into the fortress. Jin released her compound into the ventilation system of each section they passed, leaving disoriented Tellurans in their wake. Alarms finally blared throughout the fortress. "Humans have breached Level 3, announced a panicked voice over the communication system. Vex stood, his composure cracking for the first time. "Lock down the command center. Nothing gets in or out." In the corridors, human fighters engaged Telluran guards. The aliens still had superior weapons, but they were confused and struggling to breathe. The humans moved with purpose, following the plan they had rehearsed for weeks. Jun led a team to the communication center, where they needed to gain control of the interstellar transmitter. Sung headed for the command center to capture Vex. Outside the command center, Sung's team faced heavy resistance. 5 Telluran elite guards blocked their path, firing energy weapons that scorched the walls. "Cover me," Sung told his team. He removed a device from his pack, a captured Telluran shield generator that Jun had modified. Activating it, Sung charged forward as energy blasts deflected off the shield. The guards fell back, shocked to see their own technology used against them. In the confusion, the rest of Sung's team rushed forward, and the guards were quickly overwhelmed. Inside the command center, Vex received the worst news possible. "Commander," his communication officer reported, "we've lost contact with the incoming fleet." "What? How?" Vex demanded. "Someone has accessed our transmitter array. They're broadcasting on our emergency frequencies." Jun and his team had succeeded. They had gained control of the fortress's communication systems and were now sending a message to the approaching Telluran ships. "This is a warning to all Telluran vessels. Earth is no longer under your control. We have captured your weapons, your technology, and your commander. Any ship entering Earth space will be destroyed. Retreat now." To prove their point, they included footage of defeated Telluran forces and humans operating captured alien weapons. The command center doors burst open as Sung and his team entered, weapons ready. "It's over, Commander Vex," Sung said. "Your reinforcements won't be coming." Vex looked at the humans surrounding him, former enemies now standing shoulder to shoulder. "How?" he asked. "How did your species unite so completely? You spent your history fighting each other." Jin stepped forward. "Because you gave us something more important than our differences. You gave us a common future to fight for." Vex moved suddenly toward a control panel. "I still have one option," he said, reaching for a red button, the fortress's self-destruct sequence. A young soldier named Quan lunged forward, tackling Vex before he could press the button. Both fell to the floor, but only Vex rose again. Quan had taken a fatal blow from the alien's concealed weapon. The remaining humans subdued Vex. As they secured him, Jin knelt beside Quan. "He gave his life for all of us," she said quietly, "for all humanity." Vex, now bound, watched the humans mourn their fallen comrade. "You still don't understand," he said. "This isn't over. The Empire will send more ships." "Perhaps," Sung replied, "but your Empire made a crucial error. You thought conquering Earth meant defeating nations. You never understood that threatening our entire species would unite us like nothing before." 6 months later, a new council chamber stood in Geneva. Representatives from every former nation gathered to govern a united Earth. Using captured Telluran technology, humans had built their own spacecraft and defense systems. The first interstellar message from the Telluran Empire arrived, demanding Earth's surrender. The Unified Earth Council sent back a single response: "Humanity stands as one. We will never surrender again." The message was followed by the launch of Earth's first defensive fleet, bearing the words "never again" in every human language across their hulls. On a distant world, the Telluran Imperial Council reviewed the situation. After much debate, they updated Earth's classification in their records. Prohibited contact, alpha threat. Species becomes exponentially more dangerous when threatened as a whole.